For any actor listening to this episode today who maybe did not start out living in LA or New York, maybe lives in a smaller market, maybe also does theater and like stunts and acting, and you're trying to figure out how to make it all come together, this is the episode you're going to want to tune into. I am so excited for this episode because you are in for a treat. Rachel McVay is an amazing actress, talent, spirit, soul, person, human, who I've had the pleasure of working with. Gosh, it's been many, many years. I mean, I feel like we connected
2020.
Was it 2020? Okay, 2020. So right in the height of the pandemic.
Yep.
Thank you for saying yes to being on the Hollywood Bound Actor podcast. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Truly honored.
You know, you have been a part of our Hollywood Bound Actors community, and I'm really excited about doing this interview series with more of our community members because you have gone through so much personal transition. So for any actor listening to this episode today who maybe did not start out living in LA or New York, maybe lives in a smaller market, maybe also does theater and like stunts and acting, and you're trying to figure out how to make it all come together, this is the episode you're going to want to tune into. First of all, Rachel, tell everyone just a little about who Rachel is and a little bit about your backstory.
Hey guys, I'm Rachel. So I grew up in Texas. I don't like to claim that, but that is where I'm from. Um, Got out of there as soon as I could. I'll come back to that. It ends well. But yeah, I got as a double major in undergrad, got my BFA in acting and dance, and moved to New York. New York kicked my butt, lived there for a year. I was depressed almost the whole year. No one really talks about that first year out of drama school, how hard it is. And I moved to New York without knowing anyone. So, I was like, it'll be fine. But at the end of the day, I was like, I'm really unhappy and let's see what LA has to offer. And I've been out here now for 15 years and clearly I love it. Well, love and hate LA. I mean, that's kind of the norm, I think. But yeah, and within all that, I've been a teaching artist, teaching dance, stage combat, acting for many years. And as a director and choreographer, I've been able to work with a lot of cool, really, really cool theater companies around the country. And as an actor, I do mostly classical theater, no musical theater. I'm not a singer. I'm a dancer, but no singing. Give me Shakespeare, give me Chekhov, give me Greek. And then I got my MFA in England, graduated just before the pandemic, came back to LA with all this momentum, ready to like take it by storm. And then the pandemic happened and shifted everything just as it did for everyone. But a lot of beautiful things came out of that. And that's when we connected and started coaching privately with you. And gosh, I feel like so much has happened since then. And now, kind of where I'm at is, and I remind myself of this often, or at least I try to, is truly I am living the life now that I used to envy with my actor friends who were going out for TV shows and going like, oh yeah, I went to callbacks. I had a chem read. I was just like, how, and I'm there now.
Yeah.
But during the pandemic for two years, kind of the first 2 years, I moved back to Texas with my folks, just like a lot of artists did, trying to figure out what is going on in the world. And that ended up being the perfect place for me. And I didn't realize that until hindsight, but found reps there, regional reps there, started going out for TV finally when we were working together. And it made me kind of fall in love with Texas again. And, it had been 14 years. I don't know. It had been a long time since I had been in Texas, like even like in an airport. So
Yes.
to be there again as such an evolved adult from when I left was really cool. And I was able to develop a deeper relationship with my mom and stepdad, who are such big supporters of mine, even though they don't technically understand what I do. They're musicians, so it's, still in that world.
Hmm.
But I was able to really find a lot of success and happiness with the smaller market and kind of translate that into the Atlanta market and LA and New York and beyond. So that's me.
Yeah. It's a journey, y'all. You hear it. You hear it. You hear it. And what I love that you didn't skip or gloss over is some of the, you said no one talks about that first year. I have so many friends who and clients, friends who are like, yeah, I'm gonna leave my hometown and I'm gonna go to New York or go to LA. And so for you, look, I'm from New York. For those of you who don't know, I'm from the boogie down Bronx. So I'm used to that grit. And sometimes when I hear people saying I'm gonna go to New York, I'm like, oh, you can have it. Cause I did that. I did,
Right.
literally, I'm old school, y'all, before self tapes, pounding the pavement, literally getting the backstage paper and like
Yeah.
circling and highlighting auditions you're going to go and because you're not union yet and you're not equity, you're going to stand in line and hope you get seen. Like it makes you, it really helps to develop you and get that tough skin and
Mhm.
really gets to show that tenacity that you got to have in this industry. But for you, you've now been in LA, like you said, over 15 years. What for you was the biggest difference? Was it just the weather and the sunshine, the palm trees? Like, what helped you just adjust a bit more New York versus LA?
Yeah, for me, I need a lot of sunshine, which is interesting because I loved living in England,
Mm,
which, characteristically doesn't have a lot of sunshine. But I think the part of England I was in, Bristol, which is like southwest, was a bit more temperate climate. But for me, yeah, the weather. But honestly, like, so I lived in New York for a year after undergrad, did the whole audition game. I was in maybe like two shows the whole year when I was like offer only in undergrad, like BFA like the total ego, and then it humbled me very quickly and I appreciate that. But honestly, this is what I say, like my first month of moving to LA, I found more success than the entire year that I had lived in New York, career-wise. And I was
interesting.
not union at the time, so I was just like hungry and you know me, I'm a hustler. Like you find that community of people. I started doing background work right away through central casting and just like really found people to kind of help me. But also there's just so much opportunity out here and it was so easy to find it then.
Yeah. And like you said, it's for those of you who are listening or watching who have never been to LA and maybe thinking it's on your list, there's an energy of not there are plenty of people who are from LA, but there are way more people, I believe, who have left home, left some place to come and chase the dream of whether it's being an actor, writer, dancer, producer. And so there's an energy of people who are just hungry and want to create, whether they're getting paid a lot or little. And I think this sounds like what you tapped into. I know when I first moved to LA, that's, that's what I tapped into, community. And I think I would encourage you, as you listen to this, to seek out community wherever you are because often we'll say isolation can be a dream killer, no matter where you're based. Like if you don't get to talk to or meet with or hear, other people's stories and journeys who are in this career it's really easy to feel like you're the only one going through something or what's wrong with me? Why don't I get it? Am I the only one who feels this way? And you will find out very quickly that that is not the case. You mentioned your parents being musicians. I was gonna ask, like, what was it like for young Rachel growing up? I know for me, I would talk to myself and have my Casio and pretend to do late night talk shows by myself because I was the only child till I was about 14. So what was that? What was young Rachel like as far as a creative, and how was that supported or not supported for you growing up?
Well, I kind of feel like I had two childhoods because there's the 0 to 9 year old where my parents were still together unhappily. And yeah, there's a lot of like trauma there and a lot of making myself small.
Mm.
I'm the youngest of four, so I was constantly just following my siblings around to all their stuff that they were doing, following my mom mostly and just falling asleep wherever she ended up. She was very involved in everything. She's like Martha Stewart. She's amazing. So it was very much me kind of secretly performing for my dolls, my Barbies, my whoever. I barely remember this, but apparently I used to sing opera in the backyard for the neighborhood as if they wanted that.
They're like, not again.
I'm like, oh no. But yeah, I was very expressive and very bold as a young kid, but also very felt very stifled, especially by my dad. So it was more, except for that, it was more like privately expressed. And then when my parents divorced and then remarried other people, I was the only one who chose to live with my mom and stepdad. My stepdad is such an incredible person. He was a huge mentor to me. He was my band director growing up. I was a drummer for 8 years. Hey. Um, but he was a huge inspiration because he was so hardcore, so passionate, and had high standards for us all, expected so it pushed us out of our comfort zone when we couldn't really see past that,
Mhm.
past those, self-imposed limitations, and got it was just such a formative time in my life from fifth grade through 12th grade when he was my band director, but also my stepdad. And we had growing pains along the way, but he's one of my favorite people now, and totally what helped me step into like the world of Broadway and the world of being on stage and like all of that, because he still is very into Broadway musicals and would always take us to see shows. I mean, one of our big band trips was going to New York, and we got to play on Ellis Island at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty and then go see Broadway shows. Like, he is the reason probably why I do theater these days.
Mm.
Have always done theater. Like, I had the audacity to dare to dream that I could be there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I so relate to that. Often share my mom took me to see theater all the time growing up in New York, whenever she got tickets and off Broadway, on Broadway. And I remember just seeing young people who looked like me, who I could see myself doing, or just there's something about when the curtain drops
Yeah.
and it gets dark and then you'd realize you're about to go somewhere so amazing.
Yeah.
Wanting to be a part of that, I think, is amazing. And I think if there are any parents listening to this who have kids who are interested in the arts, don't underestimate those moments, even if they can't verbalize them in the moment. You can hear it sticks with us as grown people. It's a seed that you plant. I know when we were working together privately, we worked on a lot of stuff, crafts, marketing. I always say you got to get to know your mama. Mindset, acting, marketing, and auditioning. What comes to mind as I think about our time together is like you said, you work, give you a plan, you'll follow the plan. That's not the thing. But I talk a little bit about, sometimes we've had conversations where, there's this, sometimes it can be the fear of messing up, the fear of doing something wrong, the fear of am I reaching out the wrong way or the right way, or what do people want? Um, how do you think that has shifted within you over these years, being in LA for quite some time and really taking the reins on your career? And if you're listening again or watching, that might be you. You may have gotten a tip from a coach or three, but there's still that voice that's like, is it right? Am I wrong? Am I doing too much? Am I being too pushy? How has that changed for you?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I still still, I guess, am met with, just because for me in my spiritual journey, what I've learned is that when I choose to operate as my higher self, when I choose to exist in that mindset, in that space, ooh, I take ownership. And I am a boss bitch. Like, oh, sorry, I don't know if I can.
It's
I'm
okay.
a
Yeah.
boss lady, like you know what I'm saying? Because like when you operate from that place, like first of all, you always have the answers within you, but it's so easy to, when you're living in that scarcity mindset or doubt or fear mindset, you overthink, you overanalyze, you question. But truly, when you shift to just being and embodying your higher self or your future self that you're, working to manifest, it is palpable the difference. And even when I'm like in that spiral of questioning, of doubt, And I know that I should like just switch it on, Rachel. Just be her. She's already within you. Just be her. And sometimes I'm resistant. I'm like, no, no, no. I want to live in this space because I feel like I'm missing something. And for
Mm,
me, like that's always the thing is like, yes, I'm a perfectionist. Yes, I'm a type A. So there are certain things that my brain needs to feel resolution or closure. But the more that I let go and just trust that the universe has my back. Here's something that blew my mind in my spiritual journey is so I like to say everything is always working out for me.
one
Right?
of my
It's such a
favorite.
good one, right? But
Yeah.
it's so true if you believe that. It
Mm.
is true.
Even when
And
you don't understand,
yeah,
that's
right.
trusting
But
in that. Yeah.
But what blew my mind is I don't remember who imparted this wisdom, but it was like because, everything is not linear in the spiritual journey, like even on the days or the experiences that seem the exact opposite of where your goals are, like wrong direction, dude. What are we doing, universe? Like that is not the way we're going. Actually, it is exactly as it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
All of it, whatever direction you feel like it's going, all of it is actually leading you to your goals if you choose to be persistent and believe in them. So it's kind of like just let go, man. Just let go and enjoy the journey because if it's all going to end up there eventually.
Hmm.
And the more that you have that iron fist of control, perceived control, you're actually drawing everything out. Or yeah, you're just making it longer. Like it's kind of just like it's all leading you there. So just let go and enjoy the journey, however it happens, knowing it's okay.
Yeah.
This is not a linear journey. It's not like stepping the corporate ladder.
Right.
It's
At
all
all.
leading me there. So I'm just gonna enjoy my coffee.
Truly. And I just love that one. Everything always works out for me.
Mhm.
And it truly, like you said, like it's all necessary. All the
Yeah.
moments. All the moments. And at the time of this recording, it's September 2024 at the time of this recording, and the industry in general is in a weird space. It's been that way since the strikes of 2023, and we're still feeling the residual effects of that in many ways, especially for those of us in TV and film, which a lot of our listeners are. How have you been navigating? It's been, even for me, the booking magnet, y'all. It's been slow for Christine. It's been slow in general for the industry. It's just been in a for me an unprecedented space since I've been doing this at this level. And so for me, some days I'm just like, what the hell? Like what
Mhm.
what is happening? And then some days I'm feeling inspired and I go do a bunch of other things around the house. And then some days I don't feel like myself because I'm just not working the way I'm used to working and showing up and operating. What are some ways that you have been caring for yourself, distracting yourself, encouraging yourself during this time of transition for the industry?
Yeah, I definitely have been. This summer, especially, has just been a whirlwind. I've been working three jobs, like 90-hour work weeks, like, and it just ended. What day is it? I don't know, like Sunday.
Sunday.
It ended a week ago, last weekend. Like, I have been focusing on making money, you
Mhm,
know? I've been focusing on making money. I've been out at the picket lines when I can.
mhm,
Because hello, we're on strike again with the video games. But honestly, I went to the picket lines, the last one they had like last week, and that was so nice. I mean, I was at the picket lines all last year, and it was always inspiring. And you don't know any of these people. Well, I saw Dewan a couple times, but
yeah.
you don't know any of these people, and yet you feel such a sense of solidarity and
The community.
support,
Yeah.
unity. And it was what I needed. And I'm a huge introvert. I'm like, I go to the picket lines by myself, I do my thing,
Hmm.
but it felt like I was with friends.
Hmm.
And for me, going back to the picket lines this year, it felt like that again. And that really helped me just feel that connection because, as much as I'm like all about self-tapes, love them, love them, love them, it can feel isolating,
Hmm.
because I don't miss the days of driving to Santa Monica for an audition and then to Hollywood for a call. I do not miss those days. But there's excitement in the room of like, all these other actors are here. This is cool. Like we're in the same boat. I love this. There is a sense of solidarity there too. But I've also been creating my own, not like huge scale films, but like little things. Like I did a little like Fosse dance project that I didn't even share. It was just for me.
Hmm.
I had a photo shoot this week. Like I've been conceptualizing this shoot for like 2 years, probably, maybe longer, and finally was ready to do it. And that took so much of my energy because it wasn't headshots, it was something completely artistic and bigger than normal like headshot prep. And so I was like, I was going to hire a stylist and I didn't. So I ended up styling everything. And it was really fun to have that, I guess, distraction, but it's all like for my career. So not distraction.
Not in a
But
bad
that
way.
was really cool. Yeah. It was just like, I have this project that's totally my baby. I'm the creative director here, but I'm also the talent. And like, I get to choose my makeup artist and my photographer and the wardrobe and like the looks. And it was what I needed at this time to feel like my higher self A-list actor.
Yeah.
This is the norm we're creating.
Exactly. I love that what you just said. Oftentimes, I like to us to remember who do I have to become to live the life that I desire to live, right? So if you're not happy with your circumstances at this moment, and this is something I remind myself of all the time, like, okay, well, who do I have to become to be that person who, and fill in the blank, right? If I were the version of me that I know exists in my head, whether it's the version of me that has a six pack, or that's a series regular, or that's an action star in a new Marvel movie. Well, how does that person operate now? What do they do now? What are their habits now? And I can step into that even without them being, they're real to me in the way that I operate day to day. And so I love even just for anyone who's ever created anything for themselves, that feeling of like, wow, I'm in charge of this. This is pretty cool. Like I'm not waiting for anybody,
Yeah.
to do this. Fun fact, for those of you who don't know, I have two albums out on iTunes. They're old, but they're out there. But I remember when I was writing those albums and getting the band together and getting the studio space together that I paid for from my waitress job. I
Mm,
remember feeling so empowered, like I'm not waiting on a record label or someone to give me permission to create.
yeah.
I'm an artist, and for those of you watching and listening, you too are an artist. You're an actor now. You don't know aspiring. You are that which you say you are. I got into a bit of a thing with some people on TikTok a few months ago because I was like, I put a quick post that said, now is the time to become an actor. If you're waiting, like stop waiting, watching your friends on TV. If you want to do it, now's the time. And there were a bunch of people like, now's not the time. The industry's slow. You need to be studying. And I was like, people just kept saying all that. I was like, well, duh. But only an actor who says they're an actor is going to take the time to study. Like you have to declare that which you say you are, right?
Yeah.
Everything starts with the I am. So I am successful. I am an actor. I am a creative person. I create every day. Like whatever that means to you, then you operate in that energy. Okay, before we get back to today's episode, I need to make sure that you know about Book More TV. That is my signature course for actors that teaches you how to book more TV. Listen, I know it can be very confusing on how to get that first co-star, that guest star, or even that series regular role. And I want to take that confusion out for you. This is a 5-week course, a self-paced course that I will walk you step by step through what I do to book more television. And get this, there is lifetime access to live monthly Q&As with me and our Book More TV community. You do not want to miss this. Our community is strong and our students are working, and I want you to be one of them. Visit bookmoretv.com and get registered today. I love the fact that you talked about taking this time to earn money, protect your livelihood. Someone once said to me, and I repeat, it's hard to be the light when you're worried about the light bill.
Ooh,
And yeah, Alice,
Yeah.
shout out to Allison Bird, one of my old business coaches. Like, I remember I was like, yeah, okay, uh-huh.
Mhm.
And to me, that's important. I don't subscribe to being a struggling artist. And certainly, we know in this industry, we have peaks and valleys. We have windfalls, and then we have dry spells, dry spells. But I like to speak freely and honestly because the reality of a lot of us who are actors is we're doing something else to sustain us in between these moments. You can do an epic short film that gets that becomes an Oscar qualifier and you may have made $200 off of that. Like you can create, and sometimes you're doing things for big checks and sometimes you're not. And so I hear oftentimes, Rachel, from clients that I work with, sometimes people are afraid that if I am not doing this 100% only, that I am not a real actor. I'm not a true working actor. Can you talk about keeping your identity as a creative person while also providing for yourself? You'd say you had 90 hours of work. Like that's a lot. And so where is that balance? And how do you balance that in your mind of I'm still creative, I'm still doing these things. However, I'm still making money in other ways. Because I want to take the shame
Um,
away from that.
Well, yeah, it's definitely been a journey. I mean, I remember when this is a while ago, but I remember, I think it was like 2014, and I was non-union at the time, working all the time still. And I was booking so many jobs that I actually became an actor full time. I left all my, so-called real jobs, day jobs, and became an actor full time. Like a year later, I was homeless for the first time. So, it didn't last long, but wow, was that a great feeling. And I say that to say I've kind of held that shame with me of like, what did you do that for? Like you were non-union, like why are you acting like you're making all the money? You're not yet, but I was at the time. But anyway, so that shame, that sense of shame of like, why did you make that decision without thinking too far ahead? And then you became homeless for the first time, had to give up your favorite apartment. And that wasn't the first time you were homeless. So there's a lot of like that shame that I've been working to talk about openly instead of keeping it hidden and festering,
Yeah.
that I'm still trying to rewire in my brain. But what I've really learned is like I do really well in creative jobs. So as much as I can be, because I did like 10 years in coffee where I was like teaching acting or dance during the afternoons, like at the coffee shop in the mornings, then I would go teach, then I would go do a show or rehearsal. So it was like such a fulfilling life. But I would still get shit from all the coworkers or patrons who were like, you're just another actor here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, come see my show, dude. Do you want to see? Do
Right.
you want to see? Come see my show. So there's also that, like that sense of doubt from others who don't live your life,
Projecting.
know your passion and purpose is in being a storyteller.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's one thing that I've been able to, the more that I just talk about my craft and talk about what I do, people can immediately sense it's not surface level. I'm
Mhm.
not just one of those people who moved to LA in hopes of stardom. Again, I've been at this for a long time. So, and there's no sense of giving up because it is my purpose, it is my passion. Can't imagine doing anything else and like actually being happy and fulfilled. So that is what drives me. And I talk about my career to everyone who will hear it.
Yes.
So in all my jobs, that actually helps me live in my sense of I am an artist because I
Mhm.
just talk about it or they ask about it. And so that helps me bridge that gap between feeling like I'm only making money and I'm not focusing on my acting. No, I am. This is supporting that career.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that. And for me, I do a lot of seasonal work. So a lot of like stage managing or house managing different shows, between all the acting stuff.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I hope that resonated. That was for somebody out there. It really was. I just think um I just never forget. It was many years ago when it was just like all this shame. Like there was a actor from the Cosby Show who used to be on the Cosby Show, and he was working at Trader Joe's, and people were
yeah, I remember
just
that.
just were so mean. I think being a creative person, being a storyteller, being an artist is a different kind of calling, right? It
Yeah.
is, we are the people who will drop everything for that audition. We
Mhm.
will, we will drive for that callback. We will stay up late after working all day and to pound out 2 or 3 auditions because it is something that pulls on us in such a very special, unique way. And if for those of you watching and listening, it's okay if people don't understand it. Unless you have walked a mile in our shoes, it's really hard to understand. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's what, people say, well, I haven't seen, what have you been in? Like, we're not doing that. I love people. Rachel, I book a lot of television, a lot
Mhm.
of, and people say, well, are you an actor? Yes, I'm an actor. I'm a film and television actor. Well, what have I seen you in? Well, I don't know. You'll have to Google me. You'll have to go to IMDb. And people, well, I don't know what you watch because
Yeah.
inevitably, and whenever I don't say it, and I'll spit off some shows that I know are big, I don't really watch TV. Well, why did you ask me?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's
If you don't watch television, why are you asking? We all know if you haven't worked with a certain director or done a certain show, or if you haven't been to Broadway, like even when I did Broadway, people were like, well, I don't go see Broadway shows. Well, that's how I've been sustaining myself. Like it's a big deal for those of us who know. And I
Yeah.
want to encourage you as you watch and listen, no matter what stage of the path you are on, it is a big deal. It is a big deal. And Rachel, I am so proud of you just from knowing you personally and just your journey and the way you sustain the highs and the lows. And I'm always so excited to see you and to see how you share and express your gifts and really lean into what you specifically offer to this industry because you do offer something so unique. And I know this industry can be filled with tons of opinions from casting director A and B versus agent and manager. Well, you should do that. It can be so much noise. And I would love as we get ready to wrap up this part of this, I'm going to switch it for you. You become the coach now.
Mhm.
For the actor listening, who was Rachel 15 years ago, what advice would you give about just standing in and owning who you are and what gifts you have to offer? Because it's really easy to look left and right and compare and despair. Think back. What could you pour into that actor listening right now?
I guess for me, what was really a game changer in my life, in my career, in my spirituality, all of it is, well, I'll give you a little example. So when I was an undergrad, I had never acted before. Like that was like me, 18 years old, first day of undergrad. That was when I started training as an actor. So for me, I didn't come from like a theater background at that point, like it seemed like everyone else had. So I really was just like a sponge,
Mhm.
just so open, not really comprehending everything, but it was very method based and, just like, okay, cool, cool, cool. And then at the end of my 5 years, I'm like, I don't really know what just happened or how to apply a lot of this.
Mm,
They don't really teach a lot of that in American training, how to apply all the techniques and methods that you've learned, and not just acting, but like anything. So then I had 10 years in the industry between undergrad and grad school, which was for me perfect because when I went to grad school, I was like, I've already been working. I've already been, I was SAG already. I was like, okay, I know what I'm looking for out of grad school. And when I was there, I was really able to, yes, be open and be that sponge and learn everything. But man, I was able to shift from student hat into I'm open and I'm a student, but man, I know how to discern what's going to be helpful for my career.
mm,
This, ooh, that's going to be really good for on-camera stuff, especially like close-ups. This right here, I'm not sure that's real, but I'm going to keep it. It's going to be in my tool belt. And I was really able to take ownership of everything I was learning. And with that, I think that's so important in any kind of like educational setting. You can't, I mean, you can, but I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice if you're just in that open student mindset. You have to be able to get to the point where you go up the level to take ownership of everything you're learning to then integrate it.
Mm.
And so for me, grad school was amazing. I was really able to discern and take what I wanted and what was going to be helpful. And now I integrate so much of that and it helps me. So for me, going back to my, myself 15 years ago, that's what I would say is find your confidence, find what you really feel like you're an expert in, and like take ownership of that and let that be your sense of purpose or your why or what guides you through. Because when you shift into that space, you're in your higher self. You're in your future self. You're taking ownership. You're making decisions. You're operating from that space. Ooh, you're attracting at that point. You're not chasing, wanting, desiring, feeling that lack, that separation. You're actually embodying who you want to be because you already are that person, but you're choosing to embody that person now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Ooh, that's juicy. That's juicy. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Before we wrap, and there's no pressure here, but I'm just doing this with everybody I talk to. Is there anything that I can support you on with brainstorm about anything going on that I can bring my Christine brain to for you at this time?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, the one thing that I could think of, because I feel like I'm in a good headspace right now. But I have some selects from the shoot. If you wanted to help me choose a deadline shot, since you've been in deadline, I feel
Yes,
like you
deadline.
would know.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Do you have them in a folder already?
Yeah, they're in a Google Drive. I can give you the link.
Yeah, let's do it. So, if you're listening on the podcast, you're gonna have to come to the YouTube channel to see this moment. But yes to preparing for the deadline. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Deadline is a online news media outlet, the major one that really matters. Deadline, like when something gets announced, you're casting a new project, especially for film and TV, you want to have that deadline. They're going to need a headshot, and your team's going to ask you for a headshot, or your PR team is going to need one. I
Okay.
love that you're in this space of prepping for that. I love that so much. So just bear with us. Let me get access, and then we're gonna pick one. I love this. I love the intentionality of it. So this is the kind of stuff like we work together. My private, well, you did Bookmore. You got Bookmore TV. Bookmore TV is my signature course. For those of you who've been listening to the podcast for a while, you've heard me talk about Bookmore TV. That's my 5-week course that helps you book more TV. But then also Rachel and I work together privately in my what at the time was called my inner circle, but I now call it Rise. And that's my private mentorship. And this is the kind of stuff we do. We talk about these pictures are fierce.
This shoot was just for me. Like I didn't
This was
even
the
talk
one. This is the
about
one
it
you were
with my
talking about.
reps.
This is the one you were talking about where you set everything up. You,
Yes, this was my
uh,
baby.
oh, this is so fun. You're gonna have to come to the YouTube channel to watch this, to see to see this. These are fun. These are feisty.
Yeah.
Yes. Ready. That's great. That looks like an album cover.
Ooh.
That's like a band. That's like a headshot, not a headshot. That's like a Facebook banner cover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe for your personal page or something or for your website. That's really I love it. I love that top.
Yeah.
was it like a leotard or
It was just a bustier.
it is, it's super cute. Oh,
Yeah.
because you have the suspenders coming from the pants.
Hmm.
I like that one. It's giving you're in a rock band though. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
now I need you to, I want you to sing. Um
Yeah, I
some
was channeling a lot of Juliette Lewis in that last look.
yeah. I really love this one, but I don't because I don't want anything blocking your face. It would honestly, I'll say this. So for those of you who are just still listening only, these photos are very fun and very edgy. These are not your traditional kind of headshot photos. So what I would say is it would depend on the role for me, Rachel. Like if the
Mm-hmm.
role that you're being announced for doing is in alignment with this energy, then I would lean kind of toward her. There's a picture of her sitting in a chair, kind of looking like a boss and confident, something like that, even though they might crop it. You never, this it depends on the article. Somewhere in there. Um, Again, this one too is fun.
Mm-hmm.
But considering it would be cropped, that's just my concern. And it's
Yeah.
so specific in its energy. Like if you got cast as the new mom on the Desperate Housewives remake in the suburbs, like Stepford Wives kind of energy, I would not use this picture
Yeah,
unless
yeah.
the character was giving that energy. So I
Hmm.
think these are some, but I keep being drawn to this shot for some
Me
reason.
too. That was the last shot we took.
So yeah, but I think you get it retouched, smoothed out, smooth the jacket and stuff out, whatever you want to smooth out here. I think it's captivating.
Hmm.
That one's very captivating. But again, it would be based on the role because you probably have some really just great, some of your, I'm using air quotes, regular headshots that would
Yeah.
just give you. And what's good about when you use, and again, air quotes, regular headshot, whenever I have something that is in deadline, I like to use my most current headshot. That's for those of us who have our like default theatrical photo on like Actors Access or something like that, I like to use whatever's my most current default with me and my team because that's the one my team is using to submit me for future projects.
Yeah.
And so it's a connection there. They've
Yeah.
seen that face before. Oh yeah, right. That connection. So that would be my feedback for that. But I
Okay.
think those are fun. I think you need to I would love to see you do more creative direction for your own stuff because that's
Yeah, I mean, they were like, I only shot 3 looks, but I've got more. Yeah, because there's a photographer I've been wanting to work with, and I tried to get him for this one, but he was booked up a year in advance. So I was like,
wow.
okay, we're gonna shoot the other looks with him in a year.
Yeah. They look great. And he has the way he captures you. I know you do a lot of period piece, like you've done a lot of your own like video work and clips you put together. Have you done an actual full photo shoot? Like,
No, but I've got one in the works because there's like a kind of Marie Antoinette costume that I've rented before for a film that I produced and shot. And I have a location in mind, I have the wardrobe in mind, like it's conceptualized. It's just a matter of like getting that money together and doing it. Yeah.
yeah, it makes me think of, I don't know if you follow, shout out to Danielle Pinnock. She's an actress. She's on a show called Ghosts on CBS. And her and Lenisa Frederick have they used to have an Instagram called #booked. But
Yeah.
anyway, Danielle is queen of putting together her own photo shoot. And she's a big Bridgerton fan. And she just put together this photo shoot for herself.
Mhm.
Just in her own, got her just calling forth which she desires to do next and letting it be known loud and proud. And that makes me think about that. And so she recently did some like Bridgerton-esque photos. I don't know if you follow, maybe go check out her page just for
Oh, I
inspiration.
will.
But I think you're right in the pocket with that. I think, and those for all of you listening, that could be an idea. Like, we don't always have to wait, as you've heard from Rachel today, to get permission to try on these characters you want to play next. Like, this is something Brian Pataka, who's another coach in this industry, he and I said once, I heard him say to me once, this is an evidence-based business. And so the more that you have proof of you being and portraying the kind of roles that you want to portray, it makes it so much easier for this industry to see you instead of having to imagine maybe they could do it, I think, right? But no, like, hey, boom. I want to do sci-fi. I want to do classical. I want to do this. I want to do grungy. I want to do gritty. I want to do end of the world, apocalyptic type work. I want to do vampires. Like whatever it is, like show us, have fun. Like if you got an audition for tomorrow, what would you pull out your closet to make that come together? And I think from what I've heard you say, like even preparing for the shoot, you had fun and you felt empowered and you felt, creative. And so I think that's a fun idea for many of us to try on. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. And I one last thing about this shoot, the whole point of this shoot and why it took so long to, well, I mean, saving up the money, but also why it took so long was this shoot was not headshots. It was editorial, just like all the A-list actors do. They come in for a magazine, they come in for whatever it is, and they get styled and pampered and whatever. And so for me, I was really like, I'm stepping into that life.
Mm-hmm.
For me as an A-list actor who, yes, I'm doing it all right now and paying people to style me and, whatever, shoot me, but that's fine. Like that's not what I'm focusing on the day. I'm focusing on, okay, I'm an A-list actor. I've got a shoot today. I'm coming in. Okay, we're going through wardrobe, we're going through hair and makeup, we're talking about the creative direction for it, we're collaborating and living in that space. And it was very important for me to live in that mindset, not just dress up as an
Mm,
A-list actor, but to embody that. And I did teeter between the whole shoot. I kept teetering between the imposter syndrome and the ownership.
mm.
And it was a learning experience and I can't wait to do it again. So for anyone who just an idea, like show up as your A-list self because it's coming.
Yes, it's yes, yes, yes. And that way you'll feel even more ready because so many people get thrust into
Yes.
the A-list spotlight. It's one project can change your career.
Mhm.
And then how do you operate within it? Do you shrink and hide or do you stand boldly in it because you've been working on it, working toward that for so long? Oh,
Mhm.
that's so juicy. Rachel, thank you for sharing your gift with us, sharing your nuggets of wisdom, being transparent and vulnerable, and pouring into this community that you have been a part of for so many years. I truly appreciate it. I appreciate you. I would say thank you for trusting me with your coin, your time, your energy. I don't take that lightly, and I can't wait to watch you continue to soar and shine. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Christine. Truly an honor. And you guys, if you're on the fence about working with Christine, it truly is one of the most transformative times in my career. She helped me in 2020 really reset at a time when I didn't necessarily feel I needed to reset or yeah, because I was, like I said, coming with an MFA. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I've got everything laid out. And, I needed guidance, and she did that for me in a huge way that has still, I still feel the effects of. So I am eternally grateful to you, Christine. And this is why I'm still in the community because I still love getting your insight and wisdom and your care for your students.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening and watching the Hollywood Bound Actor podcast. Now, don't be stingy. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with an actor friend who could use some inspiration, truly. And you can binge. There's hundreds of episodes you can catch wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to subscribe to this channel. Until next time, remember that you have a gift that the world, let me talk here. Remember that you have a gift that the world needs to see. So don't hide that gift. Continue to shine bright like the star that you are.